Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV. It's daily news time. 3 stories for you today. We're going to be talking Dejan Lovren, we're going to be talking Mamadou Sakho and the top 4 running. Let's get straight into it then. Dejan Lovren has been given and has signed a new contract at Liverpool that will keep the centre-back at the club until 2021. He has played for us since 2014. Now he's 27 years old, and the timing of this almost couldn't be worse, to be perfectly honest, because he's had an absolute stinker against Crystal Palace. You know, arguably a blame for both of their goals, at fault at least in the run-ups to both of those goals. It just feels strange, but long term, what do you think? Do you think it's a good move for Liverpool? I mean, ultimately, you know, Liverpool, if we're after Virgil van Dijk, if we're after another big centre-half, then for me, tying up someone like Dejan Lovren to be your backup centre-back is a good deal. He only had 1 year left on his contract, I believe. So it makes fiscal sense for Liverpool to be wrapping his contract up now so that we're not losing him for less than his market value. You never know what might happen. Let's go a year down the line. Let's say we sign that big marquee centre-back that we all want and know that Liverpool need, and then we let Dejan Lovren go for 5 million quid, or we let him go for a free. Is that clever business by Liverpool? No, it's not. What is clever business by Liverpool is wrapping him up now on a contract and making sure you protect his value. And to be honest with you, that's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you out there will agree with me, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me as well. I mean, a lot of people, there's been a lot of fume on social media and stuff about giving Dejan Lovren a contract and what does that state for our ambitions as a football club when we're rewarding someone who's had such an iffy Liverpool career. I think Dejan himself knows that first season, you've just got to write that off. It was terrible. He was terrible. The last 2 years, he's made a marked improvement. He still has those fuck-ups in him. He really does. So do all centre-backs. So do most centre-backs. So not all centre-backs. Some centre-backs, you know, for me, are head and shoulders above the rest and don't make as many high-profile mistakes as Dejan Lovren. But you know, we did a lot this week on our centre-back partnerships on the Stat Show, an hour-long diving really in-depth into the centre-backs, you know, looking at Klavan, looking at Lovren, Matip, Gomez, Lucas, all that type of stuff. So do go and check that out. It's on the redmentv.com. And one thing's clear for me, Liverpool's defensive frailties and defensive issues are more systematic than personnel-based. And I'm just going to say that now, and look, a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but how many people have we blamed over the years? You know, it's been Skrtel's fault, it's been Aga's fault, you know, it's now Dejan Lovren's fault. And Mamadou Sakho, a player that, look, a lot of Liverpool fans wanted to see at the club, you know, and still do after his form. Obviously, he's injured now and stuff, but we shipped 148 goals in the 3 years he was there. 148 goals. So let's not hold Mamadou Sakho up on a pedestal and say he was the shining light of Liverpool centre-backs. He wasn't. He was part of the problem. But I personally think that the problem is systematic. It's about how we play football. For me, it's no mistake that Manchester City centre-backs are getting looked at this season. Stones has had a tough time. Otamendi's had a tough time. It's no mistake. It's no coincidence for me that Arsenal centre-backs are struggling. We play possession-based football and we play with our full-backs high up the pitch, leaving our centre-backs exposed. There are only a handful of centre-halves in the world that I think would really be unbelievable in our system. So for me, the first thing that has to change with regards to Liverpool's defence is how we defend. Mamadou Sakho looks great with a full-back either side of him and another centre-half and 2 deep midfielders protecting him. You know, they're set up. Crystal Palace have been set up since Allardyce took over to not concede goals. Mourinho, look at him at Manchester United. They're set up not to concede goals. You know, I don't think there's much difference between quality of our centre-halves. Even with Tottenham's Vertonghen and Alderweireld, great centre-halves, are they that much better that they're conceding 20 less goals? Or have Tottenham found a way to win games by scoring goals and conceding less than us? I think that's the way that Liverpool are going to improve. So Dejan Lovren contract stuff I find really interesting. I think it's good business. I don't want to see him as a first choice centre-half. I want to see how Liverpool change and evolve how we defend. And if Dejan Lovren's part of that, brilliant. He seems to be happy to be here. Because he said, after all that happened in the beginning, in the past 2 seasons, I think I've done better than in the first season. Yeah, the club have rewarded me, they believed in me, and also the fans. Okay, Klopp came out and said Dejan is a big presence for us on the pitch and in the dressing room. This is wonderful news that he's committed to Liverpool for such a long time. So it sounds like Jurgen Klopp wants to see him around the club. And if Jurgen Klopp wants to see him around the club, I back Jurgen Klopp, and that's that. Moving on, Mamadou Sakho, I've talked about him briefly already. His injury isn't as bad as first feared now. He injured himself during the week in Crystal Palace's game. Now, at first, we all thought it was an ACL, an anterior cruciate ligament injury to his knee. It turns out it's a bruised and strained knee ligaments. So he could miss the end of the season, but not the 9 months that we first thought. Now, this for me was huge because I'm thinking maybe 20 to 30 million pounds. 30 million pounds if we're pushing our luck for someone like Mamadou Sakho. Now, if he's going to be leaving the club, 30 million pounds could have been definitely reinvested into the squad this summer. And if he's going to be brought back into the fold, then we don't want him injured. It's that simple. So for me, it is good Liverpool news, this. Very, very good news. And finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the top 4 running. Obviously, Liverpool in a massive race now with Manchester City and Manchester United for this final spot in the top 4, for 2 spots in the top 4, sorry. Arsenal are obviously in the race. Tottenham and Chelsea are probably a little bit too far ahead of us now. Manchester City, Manchester United played out a 0-0 draw. Man United obviously picked up a red card from Aaron Fellaini. They've got Ibrahimovic, injured for the rest of the season probably. So, look, although we're not in the driving seat for this battle anymore, you know, it is out of our hands because of that draw. Manchester City 1 point behind us with a game in hand. Manchester United 2 points behind us with a game in hand. We've got points on the board, and at least that's something. And looking at the fixture list, we've got West Brom away, Southampton at home, West Ham away, and Middlesbrough at home. They should be fixtures that we can get 4 wins out of. The problem, and I know you're screaming at your telly, your phone and all that now, is that we've struggled. I know we have, but let's look at Manchester City's fixtures. They've only played 33 games, so they've got Middlesbrough away, they've got Palace at home, they've got Leicester at home, West Brom at home, and Watford away. Now, I was reading something this morning on the internet, it was one of the newspapers, I forget which, that was talking about, you know, them having 3 home games compared to 2 away games. Manchester City have won more points, I believe, away from home this season. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's points to be dropped there by Manchester City. Manchester United is where it gets really interesting. Their games go Swansea at home, Arsenal away, Tottenham away, Southampton away, and Palace at home. They are, well, 4 of those I believe are very, very tough fixtures. Arsenal, Tottenham, Southampton and Palace. We know ourselves about Crystal Palace. Plus, they've got a Europa League semi-final in with Celta Vigo. So, all right, it's not in our hands. There's still that glimmer of hope, though, isn't there? We can still get top 4. We need to wrong the rights of last weekend by going out and beating Watford on Monday. Let me know in the comments section what you think of Dejan Lovren's contract, what you think about Mamadou Sakho, whether he should be at the club or he should be sold, and whether you think Liverpool can get top 4. Please do let me know in the comment section below. Drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't to the redmentv.com and to us on YouTube.